Subscription fatigue. Netflix dropped 20% last week. People are sick of having a million subscriptions. You got Amazon, Spotify, Netflix, Disney Plus. Some of you are paying for OnlyFans. Add them all up, that's about $50 a month, which makes me think. But in my humble opinion, the shows are 20 times better than cable was. Stay tuned. Mosh, what do you think of this? Do you think people are getting subscription fatigue?
Well, one of the issues they're facing right now is that with COVID and quarantine, you saw a massive uptick in the number of people signing up for these services. So the issue, Wall Street has calculated basically the value of these companies to a certain extent based on quarterly growth. Well, if you had 2 years of growth in a quarter or two, especially in certain markets, you're going to run out of people who are willing to pay a certain amount as you increase the price of Netflix, from 12 to 14 to 18, etc. So you're pricing certain people out. So these SVOD services that survive on subscriber monthly, are running out of people in certain marketplaces, right? Ultimately, they got to go international or they got to go down market. So they got to, provide things that Netflix has said they wasn't going to do, which is advertiser supported, right? That will give you Netflix for $5 a month or $4 a month, but you're going to have to watch a bunch of ads. And that's like the model that Tubi and others in the AVOD, the advertiser video on demand market, have gone to. So, it's so interesting because you saw this collapse of Netflix. You're like, well, why is it? And they're like, well, they had 8.3 million subscriber growth instead of 8.5 million that they promised. And so we saw a complete collapse over that. So part of this is just the, Wall Street adjusting its expectations. But part of this is a determination that ultimately, to find growth, to continue to grow, you have to find either new markets geographically or new verticals to get into.
Yeah, it never makes sense when stocks fall because of slowing growth, when growth is growth.
It should be said Netflix is not as profitable as some of its competitors, and Wall Street and investors have given it a crazy valuation. So, maybe 2022 is also a year of kind of real setting, kind of the actual value of companies that have just been absurdly valued in the past year and a half with all this money in the marketplace.
Well, I'll say as a consumer, man, this original content game is strong right now. Like, I feel like I am getting recommendations of different unbelievable shows like every single day. Yeah. And there's no time to watch them all. And I think that's part of the problem. But shit, man, the consumer's really winning right now.
And when we talk about consolidation, to your previous point, Alex, we are at a point now where it's like, you can't afford to have Paramount Plus and Peacock and Hulu and Netflix and Disney Plus, and ultimately these services will have to be bundled together in some cases. And so ultimately, who will be doing that? Apple kind of did that in the music world with iTunes. Who's going to do that in the streaming world? Because ultimately, push comes to shove, only the biggest companies are going to survive. If you can't, like Netflix, throw 500 new shows out there every couple of months because they just have the money to produce that, and all they need is a couple of hits. If you can't compete with that, ultimately they're going to buy their way to victory. And so that's just something to keep in mind.
I can tell you that what's very interesting that you won't hear of yet, but it's happening behind the scenes, is that content is going to be disrupted by NFTs as well. There are studios and there are companies and there are a couple big blockchain companies that I can't reveal the names of yet that are developing original content for sale via NFTs and are baking in scarcity and limited views and unlockable content that you can only get via NFTs. And there's going to be a huge monetization layer for independent producers, directors, actors, fans, enthusiasts, collectors, you name it, it's coming. And that's why I said you have to look at this on a 10-year, 12-year time horizon as to what happens.
So translate that to me as like a content creator. So like the next Game of Thrones will not be available on HBO Max or Netflix, but where would it be available and how would I get to watch it?
It would be available via a blockchain smart contract company like a secret network, like a Dapper Labs, which is Flow, which does NBA Top Shots, with like an us at Ethernity, where you are creating an NFT sale to fund a production, for example, of your favorite director and your favorite star paired together, and they raise the financing, which they just did for the Ethereum documentary. They raised like 100 ETH to fund the production of this Ethereum documentary, and then everybody is participating in the sale of this series, for example. There's even a couple film finance projects that are coming out where you're taking your NFTs and you can stake them in this DeFi mechanism, and you're earning yield off of the NFTs that are being staked on the network. For example, I can't reveal the names of that just yet because it's coming out, but users can then earn yield off the NFTs for staking them, and then the project comes out and everyone participates in the upside. And then they can partner with like a live peer network, for example, or a Filecoin network where you're using decentralized cloud storage for delivery mechanisms of the content. And they can limit the amount of episodes that are put out, the amount of views, the amount of resales, you name it.
But as a consumer, where am I watching it and how am I paying for it? Like, I want to pay $10 to watch it. Like, what website am I, or what?
You're watching on their standalone streaming site. And anybody can stream. Look at us on Media Jungle. We're using a platform and interface to stream it. The streaming doesn't matter anymore. That barrier of entry has been cut in half, at least. So it's on their own content delivery page with their NFTs being staked in the background and then being able to be resold to watch the episodes. And then everybody gets a residual and a resale percentage from those episodes.
And that's the most exciting part, right? The chain of where the revenue actually flows down to. It's exciting. But Mosh, like, to that point, like, there's no TVs anymore. There's just big screens, little screens, and medium-sized screens. Samsung and every other electronics producer in the planet is all of their quote-unquote TVs are coming with hard drives in the back, right? I mean, this is a full-on. I mean, the smart TV revolution surely happened years ago, but it's only going to amplify as NFTs become more and more prevalent and part of the way that we interact with brands and each other.
This industry of crypto and blockchain, it's so collaborative, it's so collegial. I was in media for a long time covering war zones, disaster areas, environmental issues, and then I saw technology being able to help rather than just covering problems, but rather solutions. That's why I got involved in the industry. It is incredibly welcoming, and there's a huge upside of opportunity for new entrants into the space. Every company in the space is hiring. Talk to us and others if you want to be involved. It's an open playing field for all, so get involved.
We need more smart, creative folks to join this understanding of what the possibility of this future will and could look like, and help develop, let's say, an altruistic view, the glass half full view of what Web3 can potentially be.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like our videos and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe. You can also subscribe to our Substack newsletter for exclusive updates and find the audio version wherever you podcast. Thanks for watching.